Hi, it's the Awesome Vegan Gal here, and today I am doing part 2 of my oil pulling video. Last week I talked about the benefits of it and some other things that you could use the coconut oil for, and today I'm talking about my personal experience with doing oil pulling. So I started doing oil pulling back in December, almost a year ago, of 2016. And it was actually because my mom had talked about it, so thank you, Mom. She mentioned doing it quite a while before that, and I never thought to do it or thought, like, why would I want to do it? I mean, I've heard about it. It's a lot of people are doing it, and she was doing it, and when I was there visiting, I decided, okay, let me just try it, and lo and behold, almost a year later, I'm still doing it. And why, and I'll tell you why, I'll tell you how I do it, I'll give you some tips. Also, I just want to say that I'm not a doctor or anything with any kind of medical degree, and like I said in the last video, this is not a replacement for the rest of your hygiene, your oral hygiene, and going to a dentist. So this is something you can do, and I don't think it has any adverse effects. It hasn't for me, but again, I'm making a disclaimer that I'm not responsible if you do have any adverse effects, and I usually have a disclaimer at the bottom of my video as well. So to tell you a little bit about how I go about doing it and what I've used, because I've used different oils as well, and what I like the best. So we'll just start at the beginning. So when I recommend doing this, you would do it first thing in the morning. Why? Because your body is empty. You want to detoxify. You don't want to put anything inside. You don't want to brush your teeth. You want to make sure, because the reason it's called oil pulling is it helps pull things out of the body that it doesn't need. So you want to pull those toxins out. So you do it first thing in the morning before you brush, and you don't drink or eat anything at all. Also, very important, if you're not used to, like I started it, and the basic way of doing it is 1 tablespoon for 20 minutes. Okay, so actually I'm just going to show you right here. I have my little setup here. I have it in a little kind of a little dish here. So I have my spoons. I have actually a measuring spoon that I use only for this, but when I scoop it out, I use my wooden spoon because I prefer that. I don't have a wooden measuring spoon. And I keep it in this little dish, and I just keep it here with a cover that I had from some other product that I had, just so I don't have to wash it. But I do wash off this spoon, because this spoon I actually put in my mouth. The other I don't. So I rinse this off, I don't, just with some water, and then let it dry. So just so you know, so that's how I do it. So I would take a tablespoon of that, put it in my mouth, and you swish it around. So the thing is with that, and yeah, I've used different oils, and again, I'll tell you what. The thing with that is you might have a hard time. When I started doing it, I instantly took to it, no problem. It wasn't hard for me. I didn't have to stop or anything like that. So, but if you know you're going to have an issue, then start with less. Instead of doing a tablespoon, try a teaspoon. Instead of 20 minutes, try 5 minutes, and then build up. Me personally, and I don't recommend this, and I've read some different articles that say, oh, you shouldn't do it longer than 20 minutes. I've done it for almost an hour, and it doesn't bother me. And sometimes you want to do it while you're doing other things, so it keeps you occupied. But you have to remember, while you're doing those other things, don't stop circulating the oil in your mouth, because sometimes you might forget you're on the computer or you're working around your house. So make sure you still keep like that. You want to keep swishing it around. That's important. Also, never, 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 never spit it into your sink afterwards or your toilet. It will clog it. It's oil. It's fat. You always spit it in your trash or even in the garden. That's what I do. I spit it. I have it right outside me. I could spit it right on the dirt or something that you can do. So that's very important. So you might want to have a special bag. Just throw it in if you don't want it to be all in your trash. That's why I do it outside. Then, as far as the oils, I have tried different ones. So I did start with coconut oil when I was with my mom, but then I tried some other ones from a company I did a video on called Foods Alive, and I'll have a link below to their website as well. So I tried a bunch of their oils, and I want to show that to you as well. And I think I did talk about it in the other video. So let me just get them out here to show you what I try and to tell you a little bit how I felt about them. So I tried their hemp oil and for oil pulling, and I've also tried their golden flax oil, and then I also tried their chia oil, and then also finally their black sesame oil. And these are a 4-ounce container. So I wanted to try those for the oil pulling because I don't use oil usually. I don't use oil for food consumption. So what I found for the chia oil, for example, that had like a light flavor. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but if it's in your mouth, if you have a tendency to not like certain things, you might want to gag. It might gag or spit it out. The hemp oil was kind of had an earthy type of flavor, but I still liked it. I don't think there was a problem. The black sesame oil had a richer flavor because it's like a richer the seeds are. And another thing is when you do it longer, because I was reading here that I had a dry feeling in my mouth. The longer you do it, your mouth may tend to get drier. So, you know, when you brush your teeth afterwards and if your mouth's still dry, because don't forget you're swishing around fat in your mouth, so it could, you know, dry it out. You may want to hydrate yourself after, but only after. So those are the oils that I used. But mostly I've used coconut oil, and like I know here I have, you know, the brand doesn't really matter. But like, for example, I had a jar, 29 ounces, and it lasts me about a little more than 3 months. And also I do it almost every day. 1 day a week I don't do it, so I usually do 6 days. Or if you're traveling, I don't usually have a way to do it when I'm traveling. Like I don't take it with me. So, you know, unless where I was, I could get some. Unless I'm at like with my parents, I can do it. But usually it lasts like a jar like that. But I now buy bigger jars. If you have a store called Grocery Outlet where you live, you can buy much larger. Like now I have a 54-ounce jar, and it only cost me, I think, like $10 or less. A really good price. So, because a lot of times they say it has to be a certain type of oil, refined versus unrefined. For me personally, and organic I do prefer, because when you're swishing around, stuff may get into your bloodstream. So I do try to use certified organic. But mine, I think the ones I had were refined coconut oil, also organic, expeller pressed. Let me see, the other one that I had here was also refined, organic. So yeah, I don't think that's really something to really worry about when you're doing the oil pulling. Let me see what else I want to tell you. I said that, okay. Another thing I found that I had a lot more mucus coming out, even throughout the day and afterwards. And I guess the more you do it, maybe it's pulling out more from deeper areas. That's a possibility, like I mentioned in the video last week about that. And when I brush my teeth, I say I brush my teeth. I also rinse afterwards with mouthwash if you want to get that taste out of your mouth. But the oil usually doesn't taste bad. So those are the things. And now then, why do I choose to do and continue for this long? Because of the beneficial results I have already seen, which I was amazed by. You know, some people say it may make the teeth whiter. I don't know for me if that's really been the actual thing. But what I did want to say, so I had some questions, and I consulted with a registered dental hygienist named Eliza. Thank you, Eliza. Sorry she couldn't be here to say these in person, answer my questions, but she was very thorough. She is also a graduate of the Southwestern Dental Hygiene Program, so I just want to give a plug to that. So I had some questions for her that are related to this because I saw dramatic changes in gum recession, also something when they do probing to see how deep your pockets are between your teeth. So, and I'll share with you that information as well. So the question I had for her is, why is gum recession a concern for oral health? So this is important to know. Gum recession is a concern because it exposes the root surfaces of our teeth, which can ultimately lead to root caries, which are commonly known as cavities or dental decay. If the decay is left untreated, it can spread to the pulp of your tooth, leading to a root canal, or even worse, an extraction of the tooth that is affected. So the more it recedes, it has nothing to hold it there. That's what keeps, it's like the glue that keeps it around to hold the tooth in place. That's how I look at it. If the tooth results in extraction, there will be a huge gap which can be filled with an implant or a fake tooth, which is extremely pricey. So instead of going there, there's other options. Secondly, gum recession is a concern because it ruins the supporting tissue that holds your teeth in place, such as the gums and even the bone. This can ultimately result in the loss of a tooth if left untreated. Gum recession occurs gradually and is very common. Most people aren't even aware that they may have recession. For this reason, it is important to ask your dental provider about gum recession, and if you have it, so that you can take action to prevent the recession from progressing. So my follow-up question was, can you give me some expert suggestions for prevention of gum recession or halting the progression once you have it? So she says, avoid aggressive brushing, use a soft bristle toothbrush, which I'm going to mention right here. A company that I reviewed on my YouTube channel called Mouthwatchers, and I will have a link below and you can check out those videos. It's a great toothbrush that has antimicrobial flossing bristles, and this is a used one already, but here you could see it up close. Whoops, excuse me. Here you could see those flossing bristles. So it's really good. So what it is because it has the silver embedded in it, it keeps the bacteria off the bristles, not necessarily out of your mouth, but because they're not staying on the bristles after you wash, you're not putting bacteria back into your mouth. So that's what's nice about it. So that's about that. That's a soft bristle toothbrush or an electric toothbrush. Proper home care, which brushing and flossing daily, of course, to prevent tartar buildup. Also, a mouth guard if you're a bruxer, if you grind your teeth, that's very important. I do use one called Sleep Right. It's very good. Prevent gum disease from occurring because it can lead to recession, meaning when you grind your teeth. Also oil pulling, which I'm discussing now, and also just see your dentist regularly. The next question was, when you do the probing with your instrument, what's the instrument called, what are you looking for, and if the number is lower or higher, what does that mean? So if you ever go to a dental hygienist, or I go to a dental hygiene school where they do the work, they use an instrument that's called a periodontal probe, and it's a periodontal probing exam that they do. So the numbers can range from 1 to 10 millimeters, or even more. It's on the actual tool. You'll see it has little gradations on there. The probe is the instrument that measures the attachment of your gums to your teeth. Ideally, 1 to 3 millimeters is considered to be health, meaning that you have an adequate attachment of gum tissue to your teeth. If the probing depth ranges anywhere from 1 to 3 millimeters, you have a good attachment of your tooth tissue to your teeth. Anything over 3 millimeters, for instance, 4 or higher, is considered to be unhealthy and a concern. 4 millimeters is an indication of inflammation and gingivitis, which is diseased gum tissue, so you don't want that. You want to keep it lower. Anything over 5 millimeters is an indication that you're beginning to lose gum and bone tissue, which is also called periodontitis. Gingivitis is reversible, which I mentioned before. When you have 4 millimeters, the 4 millimeters is an indication of inflammation and gingivitis, but 5 is already called periodontitis, so you're going to the next level, not so good. So gingivitis is reversible and can be done through good and effective oral hygiene. Periodontitis is considered to be irreversible because you lose bone structure. So she's saying when you have 5 or higher, it's not, but I'll tell you actually differently because my numbers show different. Once you lose bone structure, you cannot rebuild it. This puts you at risk for tooth mobility and ultimately tooth loss if not properly cared for. If your probing depths reduce, for example, if a 4 millimeter pocket has changed to a 3 millimeter pocket, that is a sign that you are keeping up with your oral hygiene and your tissues have healed to health. So the reason I wanted those questions answered because it relates to some things I've seen. So when I go get my exam done, I've had it printed out, not for my most recent one. I'm sorry I didn't. And the other thing is I never took before pictures when I started doing the oil pulling, and I'm sorry I didn't. So if you yourself decide to do that, before you start, take a picture of your teeth, and if you have certain areas like gum recession or things like that are noticeable, then you want to have that so then you could post that and people can see like, wow, look at the difference. So going back to 2016, I have some, this is from November, and then from May 2017. So I had some pretty high numbers. And I think they changed pretty dramatically. I had some 6s and some 5s, especially in the molars in the back, and that was for the probing, and they went down to 4s and 3s. So the 6s went down to 4s, and the 5s went down to 3s. So that is quite significant. So that's between November of 2016 and then May of 2017. That was with the same student. And those are mostly in the back teeth, and then on one side, and then yeah, I think there were some other changes, and I didn't get those results from the most recent one, but I believe they decreased even more. That now I'm mostly at, you know, 1s, 2s, and 3s. I don't think that I have many 4s left. So that was the thing. Is this is what the chart looks like. You won't really be able to see it too clearly, but what it does is it shows you the numbers on here when they do the probing. So yeah, so my, you know, like I said, the ones that I had that were really high, that they say once you have 5s that you can't reverse it, but I believe that it had a lot to do with oil pulling, because when she first saw me in November of 2016, I hadn't started the oil pulling. I hadn't started using that new toothbrush for Mouthwatchers till around June of this year. But when she saw me in May, I had already been doing it for like 6 months already, almost 6 months, the oil pulling. So that's why. And then I actually have looked. There was one tooth where I saw a lot of recession, and I've seen it change. Like it's almost. The gum has almost come back completely around the tooth. Just amazing. So that's what I want to say, is that this definitely has some real results that are visible. So I've seen that. So that's what I'm saying, is I highly recommend it. Like for things to reverse, you know, that dramatically is pretty amazing. You wouldn't think it's possible. But it is, and I've seen it, like I said, with the numbers here. So that shows that something is working right. I didn't change anything else in my oral hygiene. You know, if I'm flossing better, even so, I don't know that would have created such a dramatic result. So that's why I would definitely recommend it, and I hope this information is helpful to you. Just so you know, I'm still on this journey. I'm going to continue. Like I say, I do it almost every day. It's become part of my life, and I recommend you try it out and see if you can have some benefit for your own oral hygiene. And again, it's not a replacement for everything else you need to do, but it is an adjunct. It's something you can add that would, I think, help, because like I say, I've seen definitely changes for my the health of my teeth and my gums. And I thank you for watching. It's the Rawesome Vegan Gal.